All right, you guys, we're going to get going on drawing our hot air balloons. We probably already talked about how this project is going to go, and today is balloon drawing day. So you're going to get a big piece of paper like this, and we're going to draw our balloon and basket vertically. So your paper is going vertical up and down, and your balloon is going to go vertical up and down. That's the best way to get the biggest balloon we can. Make sure you get your name and code on the back first, and I'm taping down my paper. You don't have to do this. I'm just doing this to make sure I stay in the camera lens. So let me show you how we're going to draw this balloon. Ready? Okay. This doesn't have to be exact, but if you can plan about half of your paper to be balloon and a little less than half of your paper to be the basket, that is about the best I have found to make sure you can edit your picture in later. In real life, and you'll see a video probably later of a real hot air balloon, the balloon is way, 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 way bigger than the basket. But we're changing the proportions a little bit just for the sake of editing. So you can kind of make a mark or just keep your eye on about the middle. I'm going to kind of make a couple lines on the side. You're going to draw really light and sketchy today. That way you can erase if you need to. I'm going to push a little harder and draw harder so you can see better on the camera. So you're going to draw really nice and light. We've probably said before, draw light until you know it's right. We're going to go back and trace things and make them darker later. So draw really gentle and light. Anyways, that's about half of my paper. About half we want to be balloon. And I'm sure we looked at real pictures of balloons. You're looking for that kind of, wider and round at the top, and it kind of narrows towards the bottom, almost like a heart shape, but it doesn't dip in the middle. So kind of think about how a heart shape kind of gets narrower towards the bottom, almost like a raindrop kind of thing, or a teardrop, but upside down. So we want to get the balloon as big as we really can for this paper. So I start with that curve arch on the top. And I know by about the time I get here, maybe a little past halfway, I want to be bringing that balloon to a pretty narrow spot. It doesn't have to close up all the way. We want space for the torch thing that puts the hot air in, or puts the heat into the hot air balloon. Got to have room for that. But it starts out pretty wide and it starts to get narrow pretty quick. So wide and then going narrow. See how I'm moving my pencil a lot? Sketching. That way I can change things as I go. I even hold my pencil really different when I sketch. Sometimes I even hold it like this. It is not like writing words. Sketching is totally different. I'm barely holding the pencil. It's really light and gentle. And I'm making lots and lots of lines. I never make one hard line. You make lots of teeny light lines. It's much easier to shape and change if you sketch like that. So about like that. So I started nice and wide. I was really light sketchy marks and I brought it almost to a close, just a little further than halfway. I probably could have even gone shorter, but pretty close. So now that I have my basic shape and I know that I like it, you can go back and make it darker. That's when you can go back and add a darker line. And you don't even have to worry about going too dark with your pencil today, because in a little bit, we're gonna get out black markers and trace this. So pencil line, that's our balloon. Now we're gonna get our basket. The big thing for these drawings, the reason they kind of look different from a real balloon is, remember, we're gonna edit your photo into here. So we kind of want a fairly good gap between the balloon and the basket for room to put your picture in. When you put your picture in, you can kind of overlap on the basket, but some people don't want to cover up their design, and editing gets a little trickier. So it's just kind of helpful to have a little gap in here between basket and balloon. So just for fun, and you can do this however you want, I like to make kind of like the bars and the structure that would connect the basket to the balloon. So you can do this any way you want. I kind of done a little curvy thing. Just trying to kind of think of a real hot air balloon. There's usually some ropes and metal and cables and stuff that attach the balloon. So I'm thinking like a curved line here, curved lines here, and then maybe I'll curve them back out like that. This is just how I'm kind of inventing my own little wire bar structure thingy that's going to hold my basket onto my balloon. And then I'm going to put my basket. And your basket can be pretty simple shape. Remember, we're making ours bigger kind of than normal, just so we can edit ourselves in. And it can even go, oh, sorry. It can even go right off the page like that. Whoops. Drew too dark. Because when we edit it, you won't even you won't even see the paper and stuff out here. You're just going to see your drawing. So something like that. There's my basket. I'm going to make it a little bit narrower. You don't need it crazy wide, but you want some space here. So that's going to be my basic balloon shape. Everyone's is going to look a little different, and that's part of the fun. But I just wanted to help you get some basic kind of idea for a balloon shape and a basket shape. Take the kind of stressful part away from it, and you can really focus on the design part of it. However you want to do it, your basket is going to be usually, I think we probably already watched the video by now. It's usually a woven basket material. I'm not sure what that stuff is you call it, you know, baskety stuff, like kind of a wicker type of situation. So you might want to do some like crosshatch kind of marks to make it look like it's a woven basket. Some people even want to put their little like torch thing here, you know, with a little pull chain deal. The thing that you do that actually puts the flames and hot air up into the balloon. So you can draw that if you want. You're going to have your picture right here, so remember that. Some of that might get covered up. Your balloon design can really be whatever you want. As we probably saw in the video, most of the balloons, because it's such a big thing, it's not just one piece of fabric. It's lots of squares of fabric, usually sewn together, or like stripes or rows of fabric. And you can use these stripes and rows or squares of fabric. We can kind of tweak the way the lines work to make it look like it's actually a curved round balloon. As we may have talked about before, if we've already done our cake lesson, we've probably talked about how lines can look different based on an angle. If we talked about cakes already, we talked about how a straight line can look like it's curved if you're at a certain angle. Or even a perfect circle, like, I have something handy, like a cup. Even if it's a perfect circle like that, once you turn it, it all of a sudden looks more like an oval shape if you were to draw that. See, right now if I was going to draw that opening, it would be an oval, even though the actual shape is a circle. So there are things that happen to lines as they curve that kind of, they look a little tricky. So we're going to curve some lines that are actually straight in real life to make it look like it's round. So if I was going to do a checkerboard type pattern, which is what you see on a lot of hot air balloons, if it was flat and sewn, all these lines would be straight, but they're going to be curved. I start in the middle at the very top and kind of curve outward. And then as I curve outward, I'm going to bring it back to the center. So it started and ended at the center, but it curved outward. Same thing on the other side. So I start where it was at the top in the middle. I curve outward, kind of like you're drawing an eyeball. And then it curves back in and meets up again in the middle. So you get that like almond shape, that football type of shape, an eye shape, whatever you want to think of it as, like that. If you ever looked at like a basketball or a lot of any balls, like the seams on a baseball kind of has the same look. So those lines we have there, we're just going to copy them on the outside. So once again, I'm going to start almost towards the middle and then curve it around and bring it back down to about the middle. Same thing here. Curve it around and bring it back in. It should pretty much match on either side. Now I'm going to do the same thing going this direction now. So I'm starting in the middle, and I'm going to go out, and then curve it back down to meet up again in the middle. You can even make some little lines here to help you, so make sure you land at the middle again. So again, curving out, back in. Same thing I'm going to copy on the outside, curving out, back in, curving out, back in. So now, even if those are actual squares, pieces of fabric, once that's round and blown up with air, it would look like they're curving. So that kind of gives you the idea of a curved balloon type shape. And you could have bigger squares, smaller squares. Some people just want lines going one direction. So maybe you just did the vertical lines or you just did the horizontal lines. Up to you. But this will help give your balloon that actual kind of round look. Then you can have a lot of fun with decorating. You can make patterns as you color. Some people did, like different designs in each square. This doesn't have to look exactly like a real hot air balloon. When you see a hot air balloon, they probably won't have tons and tons of detail on them. But you can make yours really detailed and fancy because it's your hot air balloon. You're the designer. Some people just want a kind of a simple pattern of colors, red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, whatever. Totally up to you. Have fun with coloring. We're just using crayons today that you have in your bag. So they end up looking really nice when we photograph it later. You want to color nice and even and cover up all the white. Not only does it look nice and finished, but it makes it so much easier when it comes to editing later. If you have little bits of white showing in there, I'll try a crayon to show you. I'm just going to pretend with a marker. So if you are coloring, if you've colored like this, and there's a lot of white showing in between there, that is a nightmare when it comes to editing because the camera system doesn't understand that that's not colored solid. So when you color something, you're using crayons or whatever, this is the terrible thing to color with, you want to make sure you get it perfectly filled in. And of course I chose a marker that is drying up. So you want to really spend time getting every little white bit filled in and colored in. And you will see what I mean when it comes to editing next time. You will have a much easier job and it'll look way cooler if you don't have any little white specks. So color it nice and solid. You're also going to trace everything with black marker. That is one thing I will bring you guys. I'll bring you a plain black marker. And it's up to you if you want to do black marker first or last. It doesn't really matter. But you're going to go back and trace all of those pencil lines. So remember, it didn't really matter if you drew them super dark, because now you can go back and make them nice and dark, really even. Trace every single line that you want to see. When it comes to editing, the pencil lines are so light, even if you push hard, the pencil lines are too light. They're really hard to do editing and stuff with. So you get the idea. Trace every single line. And it looks really nice and crisp and really cool to edit. So have fun. We're going to finish hot air balloons today, and next week we'll be editing. Have a good time.